There was a man in Rome who was insulted in the public forum. The crowd waited for him to respond. They expected anger. They expected a sharp reply. They expected a fight. He said nothing. He looked at the man who insulted him, then he walked away. Later someone asked why he did not defend himself. He replied that if the insult was true, he did not need to defend it. If the insult was false, he did not need to acknowledge it. That man was a Stoic. He understood that your power is not in your reply. Your power is in your silence. The Stoics did not teach you to be passive. They taught you to be selective. They taught you to choose where your attention goes. Most people give their attention away for free. They give it to gossip, to criticism, to drama, to people who do not deserve it. They give it to strangers on the internet, to co-workers who complain, to family members who provoke. The Stoics called this a waste of a finite resource. Your attention is your life. Where you put it, your life goes. If you put it on conflict, your life becomes conflict. If you put it on purpose, your life becomes purposeful. To ignore people is not to be rude. It is to be disciplined. It is to recognize that not every comment requires a response. Not every provocation requires a reaction. Not every person requires your time. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you should not waste the rest of your life on things that do not contribute to your purpose. This includes people. This includes conversations. This includes opinions. This includes expectations. The first Stoic secret to mental strength is the dichotomy of control. Some things are under your control, and some things are not. The words of another person are not under your control. Their intent is not under your control. Their perception of you is not under your control. Their reaction to you is not under your control. What is under your control is your response. What is under your control is your judgment. What is under your control is your character. When you understand this, you stop wasting energy trying to control what you cannot. You focus on what you can. The second secret is that opinions are not facts about you. Epictetus said that if someone speaks badly of you, it tells you more about them than it tells you about yourself. A person who throws mud is standing in mud. A person who insults you is revealing their own character. You do not need to pick up the mud. You do not need to carry it. You can let it fall. You can let it remain with them. The Stoics believed that your character is not defined by what others say. Your character is defined by what you do. The third secret is that defending yourself gives others authority over you. When you explain yourself, you are saying that their opinion matters more than your judgment. When you justify yourself, you are saying that their approval matters more than your virtue. When you argue, you are saying that their perspective is worth your peace. The Stoics said that your character is not on trial. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone. You only need to act with virtue. You only need to act with reason. There was a young student of Epictetus who was mocked by his classmates. He was new to the school. He was poor. He was different. They called him names. They laughed at him. He wanted to respond with anger. He wanted to defend his honor. He wanted to prove them wrong. Epictetus told him to practice silence for 1 week. The student did. At the end of the week, the mockery had stopped. The student asked why. Epictetus replied that the fire needs fuel. When you do not give it fuel, it dies. When you do not react, the provocation loses its purpose. The fourth secret is that ignoring is a form of self-respect. When you ignore what does not serve you, you protect your peace. When you protect your peace, you protect your ability to act with reason. The Stoics believed that peace of mind is the highest good. They did not trade it for arguments. They did not trade it for approval. They did not trade it for validation. They did not trade it for the satisfaction of being right. The fifth secret is that people often seek a reaction, not the truth. They want to see if they can affect you. They want to see if they can control you. They want to see if they can pull you into their drama. When you do not react, you remove their power. When you do not react, you show them that you are free. The Stoics called this apatheia, freedom from disturbance. It is not indifference to life. It is indifference to what is outside your control. It is indifference to what does not serve your purpose. If you are finding this helpful, consider subscribing to Unshaken Mind. We share daily Stoic training to help you build a mind that is steady and free. The more you practice, the more control you gain over your attention. The Stoics did not become wise in one day. They became wise through repetition. You can do the same. The sixth secret is that your time is a resource. The Stoics were obsessed with time. Seneca wrote that time is the one thing you cannot get back. When you spend your time arguing with someone who will not listen, you have lost that time forever. You cannot earn it back. You cannot buy it back. You cannot trade something else for it. You can only lose it. This is why the Stoics were careful with their attention. They guarded it like gold. They guarded it like their life depended on it, because it does. The seventh secret is that silence is a form of power. The Stoics did not speak to impress. They spoke to communicate. They did not speak to win. They spoke to be understood. They did not speak to dominate. They spoke to contribute. When you choose silence, you choose strength. You choose to act rather than to react. You choose to preserve your energy for what matters. You choose to keep your dignity intact. The eighth secret is that you are not responsible for how others receive you. The Stoics believed that you are responsible for your actions. You are not responsible for the interpretation of your actions. You can act with kindness and still be misunderstood. You can act with honesty and still be hated. You can act with fairness and still be criticized. This is not your burden to carry. This is theirs. The Stoics believed that you should act with virtue regardless of the outcome. The ninth secret is that ignoring creates space for wisdom. When you stop reacting, you create space to think. When you create space to think, you create space to choose. When you create space to choose, you create space to live with virtue. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes from reflection. Reflection requires silence. Silence requires ignoring. You cannot reflect when you are constantly reacting. You cannot think when you are constantly defending. The 10th secret is that ignoring is not avoidance. Avoidance is fear. Ignoring is choice. Avoidance says I cannot handle this. Ignoring says I choose not to engage with this. The Stoics were not afraid of difficulty. They were not afraid of conflict. They were not afraid of criticism. They were afraid of losing their reason. This is why they chose what to engage with. This is why they chose what to give their attention to. The Stoics also believed that you should treat people with respect, but you should not give them access to your mind. You can be kind without being available. You can be polite without being open. You can be respectful without being drawn into their drama. This is how you maintain boundaries. This is how you maintain peace. This is how you maintain your character. As you practice this, you will notice that your energy returns. Energy that was spent explaining, defending, justifying, will come back to you. You will notice that your sleep improves. You will notice that your focus improves. You will notice that your mood is no longer controlled by other people. This is the reward of ignoring. This is the reward of Stoic self-control. This is the reward of mental strength. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of training. Just as an athlete trains their body, you train your mind. You train it to remain calm when provoked. You train it to remain steady when criticized. You train it to remain focused when distracted. This training is not easy. It is not comfortable. But it is necessary. The Stoics believed that difficulty is the path to strength. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of freedom. When you are not dependent on the approval of others, you are free. When you are not dependent on the opinions of others, you are free. When you are not dependent on the reactions of others, you are free. The Stoics called this freedom. It is not the freedom to do whatever you want. It is the freedom to act according to reason. It is the freedom to act according to virtue. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of wisdom. Wisdom is knowing what matters and what does not matter. Wisdom is knowing what you can control and what you cannot control. Wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to be silent. The Stoics spent their lives seeking wisdom. They knew that wisdom begins with attention. They knew that wisdom begins with choice. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is not cold. It is warm. It is warm because it preserves your capacity to love. When you are not drained by conflict, you have love to give. When you are not drained by drama, you have energy to serve. When you are not drained by arguments, you have peace to share. The Stoics did not teach ignoring to make you hard. They taught it to make you whole. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is not weakness. It is strength. It takes more strength to remain silent than to respond. It takes more strength to walk away than to fight. It takes more strength to protect your peace than to protect your ego. The Stoics valued strength of mind over strength of body. They valued strength of character over strength of voice. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is not avoidance of reality. It is acceptance of reality. You accept that you cannot control others. You accept that you cannot change their behavior. You accept that you cannot win every argument. When you accept this, you stop suffering. When you stop suffering, you become free. When you become free, you become able to act with virtue. The 11th secret is that ignoring teaches others how to treat you. People learn from your behavior. If you respond to every insult, they will continue to insult you. If you respond to every demand, they will continue to demand from you. If you respond to every provocation, they will continue to provoke you. If you do not respond, they will learn that you are not available for that behavior. The Stoics believed that you train people by what you tolerate. You set the standard by what you accept. The 12th secret is that ignoring protects your virtue. The Stoics believed that virtue is the only good. Everything else is indifferent. When you engage in arguments, you risk anger. When you engage in gossip, you risk dishonesty. When you engage in drama, you risk losing your temper. When you engage in conflict, you risk losing your reason. When you ignore these things, you protect your virtue. You protect your character. You protect the part of you that matters most. The 13th secret is that ignoring creates freedom. When you are not dependent on the approval of others, you are free. When you are not dependent on the opinions of others, you are free. When you are not dependent on the reactions of others, you are free. The Stoics called this freedom. It is not the freedom to do whatever you want. It is the freedom to act according to reason. It is the freedom to act according to virtue. It is the freedom to act without fear. The 14th secret is that ignoring allows you to see people clearly. When you are not emotionally involved, you can see behavior for what it is. You can see patterns. You can see motives. You can see truth. When you are emotionally involved, you are blind. You make excuses. You justify behavior that you should not justify. You rationalize treatment that you should not accept. The Stoics valued clarity more than comfort. They knew that comfort built on illusion will collapse. The 15th secret is that ignoring is an act of love. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not to engage. When someone is acting out, when someone is seeking attention through conflict, when someone is trying to control you through guilt, the most loving response is to step back. You do not enable the behavior. You do not feed it. You do not participate in it. You do not reward it with your attention. This is how you set boundaries with care. There was a Stoic teacher in Athens who was followed by a man who insulted him daily. The man would wait for him at the market. He would call him names. He would make false accusations. The teacher never responded. One day the man asked why he never reacted. The teacher said that if you are a dog and you bark at me, I do not bark back. The man was silent after that. The teacher had shown him that he was acting without reason. The teacher had shown him that he had a choice. The teacher had shown him that he could be ignored. The 16th secret is that ignoring is a practice. You will fail at it. You will react. You will engage. You will regret it. The Stoics did not expect perfection. They expected return. Every time you react, you bring yourself back. Every time you engage, you bring yourself back. Every time you lose your peace, you bring yourself back. This is the practice. This is the training. This is how you build mental strength. The Stoics believed that character is built through repetition. The 17th secret is that ignoring is not about the other person. It is about you. It is about your peace. It is about your purpose. It is about your character. The Stoics believed that you cannot control others. You can only control yourself. When you focus on yourself, you become free. When you focus on others, you become a prisoner. When you focus on what is yours, you become strong. When you focus on what is not yours, you become weak. The 18th secret is that ignoring creates space for your own growth. When you stop spending time on other people's drama, you have time for your own development. You have time for your work. You have time for your learning. You have time for your purpose. The Stoics believed that your purpose is more important than the approval of others. The Stoics believed that your growth is more important than the opinions of others. The 19th secret is that ignoring is a form of discipline. Discipline is doing what you know is right even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is choosing silence when you want to speak. Discipline is choosing peace when you want to argue. Discipline is choosing virtue when you want to react. The Stoics believed that discipline is the path to freedom. The Stoics believed that discipline is the path to self-respect. The 20th secret is that ignoring is a form of wisdom. Wisdom is knowing what matters and what does not matter. Wisdom is knowing what you can control and what you cannot control. Wisdom is knowing when to speak and when to be silent. The Stoics spent their lives seeking wisdom. They knew that wisdom begins with attention. They knew that wisdom begins with choice. They knew that wisdom begins with restraint. If you want to continue this practice, subscribe to Unshaken Mind. We release new Stoic lessons every week to help you build emotional strength and clarity. The Stoics did not practice once and stop. They practiced every day. You can do the same. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is not cold. It is warm. It is warm because it preserves your capacity to love. When you are not drained by conflict, you have love to give. When you are not drained by drama, you have energy to serve. When you are not drained by arguments, you have peace to share. The Stoics did not teach ignoring to make you hard. They taught it to make you whole. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is not weakness. It is strength. It takes more strength to remain silent than to respond. It takes more strength to walk away than to fight. It takes more strength to protect your peace than to protect your ego. The Stoics valued strength of mind over strength of body. They valued strength of character over strength of voice. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is not avoidance of reality. It is acceptance of reality. You accept that you cannot control others. You accept that you cannot change their behavior. You accept that you cannot win every argument. When you accept this, you stop suffering. When you stop suffering, you become free. When you become free, you become able to act with virtue. As you practice this, you will find that your relationships change. Some will become healthier because you are no longer reactive. Some will fade because they were built on conflict. Some will deepen because they are built on respect. Both outcomes are good. The Stoics said that what is good for you will remain. What is not good for you will leave. You do not need to force it. You do not need to chase it. You do not need to explain it. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of respect. It is respect for yourself. It is respect for your time. It is respect for your peace. It is respect for your purpose. When you respect yourself, others will learn to respect you. When you do not respect yourself, others will not respect you either. The Stoics believed that self-respect is the foundation of all other respect. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of self-control. Self-control is not suppression. Self-control is choice. It is the choice to act according to reason instead of impulse. It is the choice to act according to virtue instead of emotion. It is the choice to act according to what is right instead of what is easy. The Stoics believed that self-control is the foundation of freedom. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of protection. You protect your mind from unnecessary influence. You protect your heart from unnecessary pain. You protect your time from unnecessary waste. You protect your energy from unnecessary loss. The Stoics believed that you are responsible for what you allow into your mind. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of clarity. When you stop reacting, you see clearly. You see who people are. You see what they want. You see what they value. You see what they are capable of. This clarity helps you make better choices. This clarity helps you set better boundaries. This clarity helps you live better. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of peace. Peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of reason. Peace is the presence of virtue. Peace is the presence of self-control. When you ignore what does not serve you, you create peace within yourself. When you create peace within yourself, you create peace in your life. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of strength that is misunderstood. People think that strength is in the response. People think that strength is in the argument. People think that strength is in the last word. The Stoics knew that true strength is in restraint. True strength is in silence. True strength is in the ability to walk away. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of self-mastery. Self-mastery is the ability to govern yourself. Self-mastery is the ability to control your desires. Self-mastery is the ability to control your emotions. Self-mastery is the ability to control your attention. The Stoics believed that self-mastery is the highest form of power. The Stoics also believed that ignoring is a form of liberation. When you stop reacting, you are liberated from the control of others. When you stop explaining, you are liberated from the need for approval. When you stop justifying, you are liberated from the need for validation. This liberation is what the Stoics called freedom. The power of ignoring is not the power to hurt others. It is the power to protect yourself. It is the power to preserve your peace. It is the power to act with reason instead of reaction. It is the power to live according to virtue instead of emotion. If this video helped you, like it so others can learn the Stoic path to mental strength. Comment below with the Stoic principle you will practice this week. Subscribe to Unshaken Mind and continue your training in discipline, self-control, and freedom. The Stoics did not teach ignoring to make you cold. They taught it to make you free. Keep practicing. Keep returning. Your peace is yours to protect.